Hey guys, welcome back to releasethecraftin. Priscilla here, in the middle of March, technically the 14th day of March, so almost the middle, close to the middle of March. We've done 2 weeks of Shabby Creep challenges so far. It's a daily channel hop, so there's been a bunch of different creators who all work together with me. Thank you guys for that. Who have been doing their take on the prompts that I have made up for the Shabby Creep Challenge. And if you are following along in the channel hop, you just got here from Lori's channel, Terrific Tomes. She was yesterday's. And then you're going to go tomorrow for day 15 and check out Serene Bookworks, where she does Something in the Attic. But today, we're doing My Heart of Hearts on the Shabby Creep Challenge. And I think you guys are going to like these. These are pretty cool. I mean, these little, like, paperclip notebooks using my heart stamp. And it has a nice little charm to it. And I will tell you guys, in the video, I didn't show you how I added this lace. I just stuck it on the jump ring. I continue to add things to the stuff I've made after I'm finished recording. And I don't know why, but that's what happened. That's the only thing that's different. But yeah, look at these. I love these. They're little tiny books. And they can attach to a page. And look how cool this is. We made that. So I'm going to show you how I made it. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so for My Heart of Hearts, I thought I would get a little bit vampy with this one. I know it's like Shabby Creep, but Gothic was also one of the things, so I thought we could get a little vampy. I have this heart stamp that I made last year in my stash, so I thought it would be fun to pull it out and use it, because, you know, what's the point of making your own stamps if you don't use them? And I love this stamp, so it was really fun to get this out. And I used Lumberjack Clad is the color that I used, of Distress Oxide, and it stays wet on this paper forever, so I'm going to use my heat tool to like dry that off really quick. And it's hard to see here, but if you get like really close with your heat tool while it's like super wet, you can actually like sort of burn the ink a little bit, and it gives you like this cool like vibe. It gives you a cool look. So there's sort of like an ombre effect on some of these little hearts from where I like burnt the ink into the page, and I wish it showed up more on my camera, but my lighting is it's you know, it's doing its thing. You can see, but you can't see that effect as well because it's super bright. And essentially what I'm going to do is cut out one of these hearts. Words are so hard. Cut out one of them and then use that as my template for everything else. So I get the same shape on everything, which requires a little bit of faith as I put it down over the stamped images, but it's a pretty close to the shape, so it wasn't super hard to like match that up. Just be a little bit aware if you are doing something similar where you're placing your template so that you don't mess it all up. It'd be smarter to make a template on like clear paper, but I wanted it to be sturdy so I could trace around it a bunch. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using one template to trace everything so that I get everything really uniform. And I'm going to trace around some coffee dyed paper that I have. And then I'm also going to do it off camera, I believe, on some vellum paper, because I want a bunch of these little shapes, and I didn't make you watch me cut them all out because that would have been horrible and tedious. And then I'm going to use some Distress ink to go around the edges to make them a little bit grungy, a little bit shabby. Just on the front and back. I don't think it's really necessary for the middle. I wanted to make these little notebooks, and as you'll see, this was a project where I was like, what if I did this? And what if I also did that? And I would also like this. And it became a really interesting thing that maybe if I had made it in the right order and like, you know, my heart's desires had sprung up in a particular order, it wouldn't have been so disjointed. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at what I made. I just know that there was a better order of operations to the whole thing. And I'm going to try to remember what the better order of operations would be as I explain it to you guys. So, basically, what I'm going to do is take my dyed paper and my vellum, mix it up a little bit, and make these little tiny notebooks. And I'm going to use a like little clip to hold them together so that I can run them underneath my sewing machine real quick, so that they have a little binding there. So this is only like 6 sheets of very thin paper. So just gonna toss that out there. so you can be mindful of it, and you don't like blow out your sewing machine trying to do it. And I did not sew very quickly because I didn't want to blow out my sewing machine while doing it. And then what I'm doing is cutting a notch to slide a paper clip through, and then I have this really, really old washi tape that I just left in the sun, so it doesn't stick as well anymore, but that's fine because I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac to sort of lock in our paper clip so it doesn't slide out while we're using it. And I'm going to get really annoyed at how much glue seeps out because this washi tape was really resistant to being adhered to anything. Although I will say now that it has dried and I've had these for a couple of days now, it did what it was supposed to do, but like this gluing down process was a struggle for no reason. I don't know why this paper was acting like resistant. It already had adhesive on it, but I digress. So what I'm going to use is the washi tape to cover up the back page there. You could also just glue the back page down to the back cover and get the same effect. It would lock in your paper clip just as well, and you wouldn't have to go through this process of fussy cutting old washi and then fighting for your life with it. But that's what I did. And you might be like, Priscilla, this looks pretty straightforward. Well, what point would you change anything you're doing? And just wait, you'll see. Because I hadn't planned on making these paper clips, and because I hadn't planned on that, I didn't really think about where those notches went for the paper clip very hard. I just stuck them on there. It works just fine. They work as paper clips, but I wish I had thought about it and done that first. I also wish I had done this first, because the placement of this is important. And what occurred to me after I did this was that I only needed to punch a hole in the top cover. Although, again, it doesn't take away anything here. But if I'd only punched the hole in the top cover, then it wouldn't really impact how the book opens and closes. What I will say is I got kind of some slippage while I was sewing, so having the eyelet there sort of secures the cover to the paper anyways, and it all worked out fine. But, you know, there's some things in here that could be done differently, and I think if you are experienced, you can see that in here, how I could have done that differently. But again, it does not really impact anything. It holds everything together a lot nicer than it would have originally if we had just stuck to doing it the way I originally imagined. And then sorry that I did all of this off screen. I forgot how zoomed in I was because I wanted you guys to be able to see what I was doing. But don't worry, once that box moves, I get back into frame. So what I grabbed were some, I'm just kidding. I grabbed some beads, like some charms that I wanted to use. Those little drops, those little red drops are actually pomegranates, but I'm going to use them as little blood drops. I think they work just fine. But they're supposed to be pomegranate seeds for a different project that I'm working on, but I gave them up for this because it was too perfect to pass up. And then I'm just going to grab together a bunch of the supplies, forget that I'm not in focus and need to actually fix my zoom and stuff so that you can see what I'm doing. And yeah, doing professional things. Also, I added this lobster clasp because I completely underestimated how far into the notebook I actually punched my hole. I will fix that later with just a larger jump ring. Because the lobster class is moot. It's irrelevant. It does not do what it's supposed to do. It's impossible to get on and off. It was really a struggle. But I thought it would be cute if the charm was removable. Now it's just removable with pliers. Same difference. But essentially, all I'm doing is adding the drop to the end, so it's like a little drop of blood coming off our heart. And then I'm going to go through and add the charms at like intervals. So there's a tooth charm. You can't see it because nothing's in focus. Professional. But it's there. You'll see it at the end. Don't worry. It'll clear up and come together. I was having so much fun making these videos that I forgot to look in the camera lens, is essentially what happened. Also, beading just makes me like really zero in and hyper focus. So, you know, we'll get there. You can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing. I've done this before. And see, once I lift my hand up, it comes into frame and you can see what's happening. So hopefully, you know, I reconcile that at some point. Otherwise, this is going to be a really sad, tragic video that I probably should have watched back before I started doing the voiceover. YOLO. So then all I'm going to do is pick out some beads in the appropriate colors of red and, like, I got some smoky quartz. This is cinnabar. I got some smoky quartz. And then some larvikite. So, like, a little range of red and smoky brown and gray, but shiny gray. So I can add some beads to these because I wanted to make it like a little chunky charm. I didn't want it to be like super chunky because it's being held up by a paper clip. But I wanted to have a little bit of razzle, a little bit of dazzle. If you are looking for a tutorial on like doing beadwork, I did a thing where I made fairy charms, and that one was in focus. That was a good one. So, you know, that one will give you better ideas than what's happening here, because God forbid I just hit the button to make it autofocus. I didn't do that. I'm so ashamed of myself right now. But it's okay. You can see my thumbs really clearly here, so, you know, take that what you will. At any rate, I've been having a lot of fun doing this and seeing the stuff that people have been making. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. This was a fun one. This was a challenge that sat in my brain for quite a while, and so I'm really happy to just sort of get it out of my brain, because it was taking up a lot of space, and I kept filing away more ideas for things I could do, and I was like, you can't do that when you haven't even like actualized this project. So then I just started putting it down on paper and putting stuff together, and it all just sort of started to like snowball from there and became like this big old thing that I am now happy to have released into the world so it can get out of my brain. But I think that these little hearts are going to be really cute in whatever book I put them in. I haven't decided if they're going to go in the Shabby Creep book, because they are a little bit vampy, so I might save them for like a more gothic-y vampy thing, but either way, they're going to get used because they're just too cool not to use. I love these little notebooks. I like the idea of making little shape notebooks. And it's a really great way to use up scraps if you have scraps. I didn't use scraps for this, clearly. I used full sheets of paper. I made scraps doing this, so don't worry. I'll use those up, don't worry. But it would be a great way to use up scraps. If you had some odd shaped scraps, you could cut them into odder shapes or make just odd shaped notebooks. That'd be a really great idea. I'm just wondering at what point I refocus the video. I don't know. Well, dang, I don't think I do, because this is the end of it, I believe. Yep, this is me showing you what it looks like when they're attached to a page. They're really cute. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Focused. Okay, because I couldn't just leave you guys like that without getting to see them close up. I popped a photo in so you guys can kind of peruse as much as your eyes delight would like to. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to check out Kim tomorrow at Serene Bookworks. Until then, happy creeping. Bye. Also, I appreciate your faces.